Hi, this is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast, where CEOs, COOs, and business owners share strategies for success. This is 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best strategies are concise business advice. And with that, we're going to jump right in with our guest. So question number 1, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Hi, thanks so much for having me on here, Keith. I'm Aimee Bucher. I'm the founder and CEO of Harrison Latham. We create happier workplaces through a combination of coaching, consulting, and technology. So data and common sense tell us happiness is foundational for any organization's success, but most companies have no idea how to measure employee happiness, and they're even less sure of how to improve it.
That's really big in today's culture and society.
Right?
So very important. All right. Question number 2. What's the best thing about being a business leader?
For me, it's really the reason that I started Harrison Latham. I have a vision for how I want the world to look, and the opportunities I create in my business have these far-reaching effects. So I get to expand on work people have already done and create even more happiness within the world.
Create the future you want.
Exactly.
Not only for you, but for the world. So,
Yes.
all right. Question number 3. I hear from other leaders that a lot of times their people strategy can be more complicated or more difficult than the actual business strategy in their business. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what we focus on. You know, people are human and humans are messy creatures. We have emotions, we have feelings, we get along with some people, we don't get along with others. We have good days, we have bad days. Like, it's difficult to quantify all of that messiness and make sense of it. But your people strategy is directly tied to every aspect of your business strategy.
They're interrelated. You can't leave one without the other, it seems like. So.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Question number 4, what strategy would you like to share with other business leaders?
So I have a few simple tactics for increasing happiness within your organization. I wrote about them in my book, which I just found out today hit the #1 international bestseller list. I'm very excited about that. Cracking the Rich Code Volume 4. I'm a co-author. But it's Fill in the Gap, GAP. So gratitude, abundance of time, and power leading your conversation. So gratitude, like we all know, we've all heard, if you want to be happy, be grateful. So it's at the basic core. Expressing gratitude, it just shifts your perspective to find more positive aspects in any situation. And gratefulness is like a muscle. So the more you use it, the stronger it gets. When you're intentionally looking for things to be grateful for, you find it easier and easier to find things to be grateful for. So as a leader, express gratitude to your employees and your customers. Be very specific and generous with your gratitude. Start meetings with gratitude. Challenge your employees to do the same. Ask your people what they're grateful for. Push them to give you meaningful answers. So searching for things to be grateful for, it literally rewires your brain. You find yourself happier, more positive, and you increase your happiness when you savor those moments and those people and the things that are right in front of you. It provides this huge boost to your mental toughness and resilience. So a few years back, I did a personal challenge for myself. I decided it was my year of gratefulness. And every day on social media, I posted one thing I was grateful for. And I'll tell you what, it really changed my life. Halfway through my year of gratefulness, I got divorced and fired from my job within 7 days of each other. And I had been working on my gratefulness muscle though, and it was pretty strong by that point. So instead of seeing all the drawbacks in those situations, I realized I was genuinely happy and excited to have a chance to restart everything. My gratefulness muscle kicked in and I looked for the things I was grateful for in that moment in time. Had I not been exercising that muscle, I think my reaction would have been very different in that moment. So in filling in the gap, G is gratitude. A is abundance of time. So time abundance is the new rich. Feeling like we have free time or even just enough time to get everything done is one of our keys to feeling satisfied with life. So sometimes, your team or an entire company is under a deadline and time abundance is just not possible. But if that's the regular expectation in your organization, you're going to have unhappy, burned out employees with a really high turnover rate, and it's going to cost you a lot. So the fact of the matter is we're just not our best selves when we're time stressed. So there's a 1973 study by Barley and Datsun where seminary students were presented with a staged Good Samaritan scenario. The students were told they needed to give a talk about the Good Samaritan story, and they were told either they were late and had to hurry, or they were told they had plenty of time to get to the place where they would be speaking. On their way, the students encountered this man slumped in a doorway. He coughed and moaned as they approached. And the researchers found that 10% of the students in the hurry group stopped to help, as opposed to 63% of the students in the plenty of time group. So that group of seminary students who didn't stop to help, they felt terrible about not stopping to help. It wasn't that they didn't care. It was that they felt like they didn't have time. When we feel like we don't have enough time, we don't act in accordance with our values. So your employees want to do their best work. They care about their work, but when they feel like they're time stressed, they're not going to be their best selves. They're going to get the job done, but not necessarily to the best of their abilities. So, and research shows happy employees are 19% more accurate at their tasks. Time abundance is directly related. So creating that time abundance for your people is huge. And then the P in the GAP. So GAP is gratitude, abundance of time. The P is power lead your conversation. So this is something I learned from Michelle Gielan. She's the author of Broadcasting Happiness, the science of igniting and sustaining positive change. So when you start your conversations with something powerful and meaningful, it changes the entire dynamic of the conversation. So for example, you run into a colleague, they say, hey, how's your day going? And you respond, I've had back-to-back meetings all day. I'm tired and I just need some time away. Or you can say, I've had back-to-back meetings all day and I'm tired, but I'm excited about the direction we're going. Feel the difference? Like starting those conversations with something powerful and meaningful shifts the tone of the entire conversation. So as a leader, you can shape your conversations. It doesn't mean you don't discuss the negative stuff or the challenging things, but you create the way you frame those, or the way you frame those challenges, it makes all the difference for you and the people that you're speaking with. So those are my three things: gratitude, abundance of time, and power leading your conversations. They can change everything about how you work.
That's great, and an easy acronym to remember as well. So
I came up with that after I wrote the book. That acronym's not in the book, so you heard it here for the first time, just so you know.
Awesome, for premiere. All right, question number 5. What other successful business owners or CEOs like yourself would you like to acknowledge or you think would be good on this podcast?
I have 3 people that I've actually been working with fairly recently. Tim Lefevre, he's the COO and co-founder of Globulus Consulting. They're a consulting firm focused on finding and fixing problems in processes, systems, products, and people. He's actually my mentor, and I think he's amazing. Matt Lay, he's a coach and consultant with Flip the Script. So they're all about helping organizations and individuals create strategic fulfillment through identifying, prioritizing, and maximizing what he calls their boulders. He talks about boulders and pebbles. It's a cool analogy. And then Brian Yoshika, he's the Chief Results Officer at One Degree Consulting Group. They create self-aware leaders that embrace change in order to deliver desired results. They would be fantastic on this podcast.
I know a couple of them. So yeah, we'll have to reach out to them.
Yes.
Great. So question number 6, just a final fun question. Tell me about your favorite past boss.
I have a lot of great past bosses, but one that I had very early on who taught me some powerful lessons. So I started my first business when I was 12. I started teaching piano lessons. And when I was a sophomore in college, I took over another piano studio. And the first day, the owner of that studio, Mary Beth, she sat me down and she said, here's some advice that you need to heed. I'm like, okay, I'm listening. I'm 19. I'm like, I'll pay attention. And she said, when a student doesn't show up for a lesson, assume that you were wrong about the date and time. When you call the parent to talk to them, assume you were wrong. Assume a position of humility. She said, even if you're 100% sure that you're right, tell them that you got it wrong. And that advice has served me so well, to always assume, because there have been plenty of times where I'm 100% I'm right and I'm not. So always assuming that position of humility is just a core tenet of really great leadership.
That's really important. And unfortunately, I think we miss out a lot of that, or some leaders at least miss out on that, because it's easy to think you're always right and take that kind of air of superiority sometimes. So
absolutely. Yeah. Being humble
lesson.
in every situation will always serve you well.
Well, hey, it's great to have you on. Congratulations on the book and everything. And before we leave, can you tell people how they can get a hold of you?
Sure. I have 2 different websites. So harrisonlatham.com and aimeebucher.com. Aimee is spelled A-I-M-E-E. It's French. And my email is amy@harrisonlatham.com or amy@aimeebucher.com.
Great. Again, great having you on. Appreciate your time. And this is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast. For more insights, you can follow us on iTunes, at Weaver Business Coaching, or on LinkedIn. And we wish you the best success.